Amy, thank you so much for joining me on Coaching Call today. I'm so excited to talk to you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited too because this is not a typical podcast for me. This is talking about power and coaching, and so it's really awesome.
So, when you said power, what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's like dodgeball. You
Mm,
if you think about life, and I always think right now I think life is like dodgeball. It's like, who did they pick for dodgeball? They always pick the best person, the most powerful person, you know? And those were the people that were picked at a very young age. I mean, it started very young. And we knew who the team captains were at a young age. We knew which team we wanted to be on, and
right,
you
right.
know, and so it's that competitive spirit to win, and that power became. It started at a young age.
Right, except for the kids that are cowering in the corner who don't want to play, and that's not something because they're always getting hit. So we got to help those guys come up, right? We got to protect them as well, and show them how they can prosper as well. So it's our job as coaches to bring the the ones that are like hiding behind people that they're afraid they get picked last. Those are the people that we have to bring up.
I agree with you completely.
Mm.
As artists, a lot of the artists are in the corner going, please don't hit me. I just want to draw a picture, you know?
Right. So, you are, how can I say, you've had such a great career and you're not done, obviously. So tell us about how you got started in show business and then eventually how you became this amazing coach and helping other people get into show business. Let's start with what motivated you and how old were you?
I was 10 years old. So I
Hmm.
started at 10 years old. And, I think the kids that went into performing arts at that time just wanted to be paid attention to a lot more.
Hmm.
And the audience did that for me. And then the camaraderie with the cast made you feel like you belong somewhere.
Right. What was that first experience that said, "Hey, I want to go do this"? What motivated you to do that at 10 years old?
Honestly, I really do think it's because I felt that I wanted to be someone else. And so as an actor, you're being someone else. And I felt I could live through that, and it was always fun to take on the skin of that
Mm.
person and the being of that person. And it's never changed. I'm
Hmm.
still acting today like
Right.
nothing has changed really.
Right. Right. So it's taking on different personas, right?
Yes, yes.
And actually, when you take on a role, is it that because you're trying to not only embody that different persona, but are you trying to also understand them? Is that how the acting is so much more powerful if you can understand that person?
Well, honestly, if you don't understand them, you can't play them.
Mm,
And
right,
so much of your time needs to be spending time with that kind of a person.
right, right.
Like, let's say you were playing a drug addict, okay?
Mm-hmm,
Well, it's not just I'm going to play a drug addict. It's what kind of person becomes a drug addict.
right.
What incites that? And it's usually low self-esteem, a feeling of self-worth. And finding where that is for you when you experience that. So once you understand that, then you could play it.
Right. And I've also heard a lot of, I guess, method actors, they play that from the minute they start the role. And even when they're off set, they're still in the same role because they don't want to lose that genuine performance. So
Well,
they
it's
truly embody
hard.
it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get distracted, then you're off your mark. But that's with everything, you know? Like I talk about this girl, downhill skier, lost the gold by 200ths of a second. So 200ths of a second, she was off her mark 200ths of a second, so she got the silver, not the gold. So it's precision and dexterity. And so the more that you spend time looking at the specifics in somebody and what makes them tick and really being interested in that, then the more you embody it. And and it's sometimes hard to come out of it because there's so many distracting things on a set.
Right. And I guess you have to dive deep in order to portray that person correctly, right?
Well, in order to be brilliant.
Yeah. And you are brilliant.
And
Thank you for
that's
that.
the difference. That's the only difference. Or do you want to be good, or do you want to have people spend a lot of money to see you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And do you want a shiny award?
Right. Because, I think a lot of actors, this is just my personal take, really want to be not necessarily in the spotlight, but they want to be known for their ability to take on a character, their ability to perform and be amazing.
Well, like I said, it comes from a very deep place of wanting to be somebody else just for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you were in a bunch of different movies,
A lot of
TV
movies.
show, a lot of movies, yes.
Yeah, I actually shot 2 feature films during COVID. And
Did
one
you?
of them, one of them was an online feature film, but and a lot of podcast series. That's what's going on right now. A lot of sci-fi.
Right, right.
But yeah, I'm still kicking it.
Nice, nice. But you've also been in like some soap operas, right? So,
Yeah.
what's the difference between being on a feature film? You've also been on television, on some dramas and some NCSI and so forth. What's the difference when you're shooting a movie compared to like when you're on a soap opera?
Great question. It's a different genre.
Correct.
Okay. Also, but that's in the acting too, acting is a different genre. So I think the biggest thing that people need to understand, in a film, you have like 130 minutes, right?
Right.
So you get to feel longer,
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not cutting to commercial.
Right.
Right. And film is all about the complexity of character.